Is this the Krusty Krab?
No! This is Patrick!
Identifying.
The King of Kings. Chopper for the win.
Hey baby cakes! Okay, so I need a big favor from you because I had this vision and I need something in my life. I don't want something in my life. I need something in my life. I need for you and your masterful skills to make me a surprise Patrick Star meme cake. The one with the... The one with the face and the belly and the everything. And I need to see it in my life and I need it today. And I just, please, if you love me, I know that you'll do it. And I know that you do love me. Thanks!
G'day guys, welcome back to Cakes by Chopper. Thanks for that, Janet. I really do appreciate you sending me this request. What do you guys think? Did I nail the Patrick surprise meme cake? JJ, I hope you love it. If you guys want to learn how to make Patrick, then let's get started. Once you've printed your template off from the Cakes by Chopper Facebook page, you're going to cut out all the pieces individually, sit them aside, and then we'll place them on top of our cake and cut out each piece. Be sure to bring it right over to the edge of your cake, so if you need a little extra later on, you've got enough room. Once you've cut out these 5 pieces, you're going to round off these legs. We're going to cut out that shape, just with the excess. Then the first thing you're going to do with that is just halve it from corner to corner, because these will be Patrick's arms. So now all our pieces are cut out, we're going to arrange them on the cake board. Now my cake's a little bit angled, so I'm going to adjust them to make it sit as flat as possible. Using our reference picture, we're going to start carving away, and I'm just going to take off the edges, try and smooth him down a little bit, give him a little round tummy, fix his legs so they look a little more rounded, and then we'll move on to the ganache. A good habit to get into is just give your cake a bit of a spin and see if you've got the basic shape you need. Now I can see here this side's a little bit too pointy, so I'll shave that down a little bit. He's a little bit thin here, but once we place on the hands, it's gonna look perfect. Here's a really good tip for you. When you're gonna pull this apart to fill it, like I've learned in the past the hard way, I've taken the pieces apart, then I can't remember which way it goes on and the cake's all wonky. So I've literally put the feet facing to my left, and then I'm gonna put the top piece at 12, then 3, 6, 9. So I'm thinking of the board as a clock, and I'm placing them at those times, and then I'll just go backwards and you get the same stack that you carved. If you do it that way, it's less chaotic when you're trying to put it back together and you're not like, oh, what is this piece? What? Trust me, been there before, done that. Now let's get started. We're gonna fill Patrick. I'm going to start with putting some ganache on the base just to secure him down. I've learnt to put a little bit more than I did with Mickey, because we all saw that what happened there, hey? And if you didn't, the video's in the top corner. And just continue from there, filling all the layers, and then we're going to cover it with the ganache, but I'll soften it up a little bit just to make it easier. Oh, okay, so I've just filled him and I'm about to start covering. I almost forgot this, and some of my fellow cake decorators would be like, Chopper, what are you doing? I got out a bubble tea straw that I'm going to put down the center just to give him a little bit of stability. Stick that all the way through the cake. So now that's in, we've got a little bit more of a stable cake. We can maneuver it without it falling over, and when we crumb coat it, it's going to be less likely to slide, and it's a safer way to do your cakes. So learn like I did, because I've had them topple and it ain't fun. Okay, once you stick his arms on, you want to, again, rotate the cake, see if it looks right. Whilst applying his arms, I'm putting the chocolate at the base and then bringing it up. So I'm not putting any pressure, forcing it down and letting it lose its shape or move along the side of the cake. That way we keep it exactly where we want it. Okay, so now the Patrick is out of the fridge. I've cleaned him up, gave him a little touch up here and there with some ganache, and now we're going to cover him in a peach colored fondant. It's sort of a peachy pink, and I'm going to do that from the front and bring it around to the back and then just seal away the edge. After trying that first attempt of wrapping it all around and trying getting one seam, I'm going to change my mind and do it in a triangle and do a seam down either side and at the top. So I've split my fondant in half. A little bit more will go at the front. Just roll out your triangular piece and just make sure you cover exactly halfway down. Now we'll take that first piece and lay that on the top, making sure it goes halfway around Patrick, covering his hands. I'm going to take my cutting tool and just trim a little bit over where I want it, cutting all the way through to the ganache. Repeat the same process, do another triangle and cover the back. This one won't need to be as big because we don't have the feet and the hands to cover. Now you should be able to see your seam. I'm just going to go along and cut just past that seam on the opposite side so you've got a little bit to smooth down. Okay, now I'm going to go around with a lollipop stick and just gently smooth that in and just try and flatten that down a bit. You're going to bring your finger and just pull that and flatten it out, and then we use the lollipop stick to go around and thin it out so it blends in perfectly, and this will make it appear seamless. If you're unsure of this process, just think of your lollipop stick and your brush like a little rolling pin, and you're basically just rolling it out. So you don't want to put too much pressure, you just want to sort of start flattening it out and working it across, and it eventually comes so thin it's really hard to see. And then once you go over it with the brush, it melts in a little bit better. Now that I'm happy with the seam, I'm going to use the brush to go through and just smooth out any of the bumps or raised bits that I've made, and then go over it with a paper towel, just quickly dabbing very gently like this, just to remove a little bit of the edible glue. The reason we do the seam before finishing off the bottom part is if it starts to dry, it's harder to blend the fondant, so it's important to get that done first. Now we'll just go and trim off the excess and get him ready for the next step. While I gave Patrick some time to dry, I rolled out some green, purple, black, mauve and pink fondant. And I've got some white off to the side, which I'm going to make his eyes first, but I'm going to draw in his mouth just a rough idea of how big I want it and measure where I want his pants, and then we're going to apply all those. As always, I'm going to roll a white ball, chop it in half to get the same size, and then just manipulate that around. I want him to come off his face, but not too far. Okay, there's one, and they're ever so slightly touching. After putting on some eyes, I'm going to go through and just define his arms, just using a sculpting tool. Now that I'm happy with the shape of his arms, I'm going to roll out some green, which I am going to do 2 panels, one for the front half, one for the back, and I'll join those. You may have noticed we didn't use any edible glue. That's because when we're putting on his pants, we're going to cut away this top layer and reveal his leg so it looks like actual little shorts on him. So I'm just letting it be dry and just gently trimming it away, and that way we can go through and glue it on afterwards and it'll look nice and neat rather than trying to peel off that wet fondant. I'll add some purple flowers, then I'll roll a green trim for the top of his pants. Now we can move on to his mouth. Using this as a guideline, you're going to do those same shapes, the darker mauve at the back, the black in the middle, and then the tongue on top, and it'll give it that depth perception you want. Just roll a tiny little ball and push that into the center of his eye, making sure they are perfect circles. I'm going to roll a very thin strip of black. If you have an extruder, it would be a lot easier, but I'm just going to try and get it as close as I can. I'm going to line off his mouth and add in the belly button. Then I'm going to use a lollipop stick to go and pop a few of the little dots where he's got some texturing around his body. Okay, to finish Patrick off, I went round and lined his eyes with a little bit of black fondant. I'm not sure where the camera cut, but I was so involved I didn't even notice. And then I got my cake steamer, give him a steam. He's a little bit glossy right now, but he will finish up a matte finish.
Oh, bonus clip, aren't you lucky? I wanted to show you guys that the following day he had dried fully and I went through and coloured him with some petal dust, and I really liked how it turned out. I should have done it in the normal video, but it's not a necessity. Your cake will still look great without it, but it's just going to bring it to that next level. You'll see through the front of the video and at the end he's a lot more detailed with it. So this is why. It's up to you if you want to do it. I just really wanted to include this shot because I thought it was cool.
Thank you so much, JJ, for requesting this cake. I do love you. You're an amazingly talented YouTuber. If you guys haven't seen JJ's channel, stick around for the end card and check out some of her videos, and do subscribe and show some love. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys, and I'll catch you next time.